Hello lovely dancers, my name is Aisha and welcome back to belly dance tutorials. Today's focus is gonna be on the 3/4 shimmy because I feel there is a little bit of confusion regarding the way of explaining the movement, the way of execution and also the terminology. There are many tutorials around and I'll give you my take on that, and I usually explain it with the focus on a single hip at a time. People explain it in very different ways, and I think that all are good as long as you understand the concept and it just feels good to you. So I'm gonna give you my take today about the 3/4 shimmy on the up, 3/4 shimmy on the down, and see what's the difference between them. Alright, dancers, so I'm gonna show you the 3/4 shimmy on the up and then the 3/4 shimmy on the down in a traveling pattern. They both can be done in standing place or while traveling, but I think it's easier to see the difference while creating a traveling pattern. So the 3/4 shimmy on the up is gonna look like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, ta 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 ta. And on the back, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And on the down, it's gonna go down, 2, 3, down, 2, 3, down, 2, 3, ta 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 ta, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. From the back, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. All right. Sometimes I have to switch my mental focus to make them on the up or on the down. So let's talk about the 3/4 shimmy on the up. The first thing to remember is when you place the foot down, you have to lift the same hip on the same side. So we're gonna do up, this is 1, and then 2 and 3 on the same side is down, up. On the other hip, as you place the weight on the foot, you lift the same hip. This is 1, and then you do 2 and 3. Down and up, okay? So we're gonna do up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up. All right? So this is the way I explain the 3/4 shimmy, focusing on one hip at a time. Some people maybe shift the focus from one hip to the other, whatever works for you. But this is how I like to think about it. All right, so let's try to put this on music. I'll try a slower song first and maybe a faster one after that. All right, 3/4 on the up, and it's a little slow. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Step 2, 3, lift 2, 3, lift 2, 3, lift 2, 3. From the back, lift 2, 3, lift 2, 3. Up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up. All right, let's try it a little faster. All right, and go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. From the back. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Up, down, up, down, up, 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 up. All right. So let's try maybe one more time on the up and while standing. So we're gonna do it in place and maybe turning around. Up to 3, up to 3, up to 3. Ta, 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 ta. All right, now about the three-quarter shimmy, I would say that this is more of a Western addition to the belly dance movement vocabulary. It's not a lot used in Oriental styling, maybe in some drum solos, because in drum solos sometimes they have accents over the rolls, so it may be appropriate to do a syncopated move, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because this is uneven. But in Oriental styling, Egyptian styling, I think it's rarely used. People use mostly continuous shimmies. So my take on that is that if you can choose between continuous shimmy and three-quarter shimmy on the up, I would choose continuous shimmy in Egyptian styling. Now let's move on to the three-quarter shimmy on the down. This is a little bit tricky. All the movements that are on the down in Egyptian dance or belly dance in general are a little bit tricky and more difficult, and all the mechanics is slightly different than when you do on the up. So let's start with breaking down the move. Again, when you place the foot down and put the weight on one foot, on one leg, your hip will go down with that. Yes, so it's going to be down, down, yeah? So that's the difference between up and down. Three-quarter shimmy on the up, you start with a hip lift. Three-quarter shimmy on the down, you start with a hip drop. So you put the weight on the working leg and you drop the hip. This is 1. 2, 3 is up and down. 2, 3. Other hip, drop, up, down, drop, up, down. So again, I like to teach it with the one hip focus. So all the moves are, all the 3 counts moves, let's say so, are happening on one hip. Again, so let's try it again. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. All right, so let's do it a little faster while traveling. So in a walking pattern, it's just straight up and down. Down, up, down, down, up, down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, down, 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 down. All right, and let's do it a little faster now. 5, 6, 7, go. Ta 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 down, 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 down. And one thing to be mindful about is your position of the legs. Even though you are dropping the foot, you're dropping the hip, sorry, you maintain the turnout of the leg. We don't want to turn the leg in while dropping. So it's not this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See how I'm turning the legs in? We don't want that to happen. You still have to keep the turnout of the legs. The orientation of the legs is outward, even if you do a drop on the same hip. So it's a little bit awkward and hard to control. And in the beginning, you really have to think about it. But in time, you'll build muscle memory, and every time you do a drop, you'll maintain the turnout of the same leg. All right, another thing that happens with a downward movement is that as you place your foot down and your hip is going down, it will twist a little bit. We cannot do this movement perfectly square to front, like we can do the lift. The lift is almost square to front, but with a dropping movement, it's going to be a little twist happening in the pelvis, even though I don't want that to happen. So it's not voluntary. It just happens because of the mechanics of the pelvis and the legs. So it's not an added movement. You could, obviously, you could turn a little more if you want to add a little bit more twist. But even if you don't want to add a twist, that will happen. And that's okay. That's how we are built. That's why I'm saying that the downward movements are slightly different than the upward movement. They don't work in exactly the same way. So let's put this movement on a slower song and then on a faster song. I'm going tuck, 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 tuck. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. From the back, down, up, down, down, up, down. Tuck, 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 tuck. Yes. All right. Let's do it a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Down, 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 down. From the back. Down, 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 down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And let's do it in place a little bit, maybe turning around. Down, 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 down. All right. Now, in terms of dance element, the three-quarter shimmy on the down is actually more used in the Egyptian styling or Oriental belly dance, mostly in ballady or folkloric styles, or sometimes drum solos. So in my opinion, it has more use in the Oriental belly dance than the upward three-quarter shimmy. And here is where the confusion is coming from, I think. Some people call the downward three-quarter shimmy as Hagallah shimmy. And I think that comes more recently in our vocabulary, since the Egyptian teachers started to travel more, to come to the United States or maybe Western Europe more often. And they didn't know the terminology of three-quarter shimmy that we already had, at least here in the United States. But they knew about the Hagallah steps and Hagallah shimmy. Hagallah, you know, it's a folkloric dance from Libya and Western Egypt. So they explained it as the Hagallah shimmy, which has a similar flair. The Hagallah step actually is slightly different. It's an out with one hip, up, down with the other hip. So this is a two hips focus. So out, up, down, out, up, down, out, up, down. This is the Hagallah step. People explain it in different ways, but this is how I like it. I like to start with an outward movement and then up, down on the opposite hip, out, up, down, tuck, 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 tuck. But the Hagallah step has many variations, and one of them is with a twist. So when you add a twist instead of the outward movement, it looks a lot like the three-quarter shimmy. So it's going to be a twist, up, down, tuck, 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 tuck. So it looks very similar. That's why some people call it Hagallah shimmy. There's a very good video of Rakia Hassan teaching the Hagallah step. I'll probably link it in the description box. And you'll see the variations of the Hagallah step and how much the one with the twist, she calls it a twist, but it's actually a twist and a drop, how much it resembles the three-quarter shimmy on the down. So I think that's the lesson for today. I hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any comments or suggestions about that. If you have any suggestions or any topics that you'd like me to go over, I'd be happy to do that if I know about them, so just leave them down in the comments. Also, don't forget to like my video and subscribe to my channel. Until I'll see you next time, continue to shimmy!